But yeah, I just wanted to do a recap because I've been missing a little bit from the YouTube game. It's just been a really hectic last several weeks. I just felt really overwhelmed to have to keep on pumping out YouTube videos as well as doing everything else. So just a quick recap of what happened is basically this brand ASCOLOUR, if you all know ASCOLOUR, they make very premium blanks, one of my favorite providers. This hat is actually from ASCOLOUR. This shirt is from LA Apparel, my other favorite brand for blanks. But basically ASCOLOUR approached me and wanted to do a collaboration, which was freaking dope. If you all haven't checked it out yet, go to my Instagram, IKendoit.Studio, and there's some clips and pictures of what happened. So basically, I took on the role of production, design, and I also DJ'd a set with my partner Ryan and our team, Jay and Ray. So it was like a cool experience of just bringing everything together from music to clothing to production and everything into one spot. So if y'all haven't checked it out yet, I'll leave a link in the description box to the ASCOLOUR blog so you can look at it. But it's just really cool because it was an opportunity that I was not expecting to happen, and it just kind of rolled up. And yeah, sometimes like when stuff like this happens, like even if you feel like it's a little bit out of your reach or comfort zone, you just gotta go for it because you never know what it might lead to next. So that's been really dope. And next, I did a pop-up shop this past weekend in the Bay. I was gonna do a vlog, but I'm not like the type to walk around with a camera. I really don't like being that like content creator person. Like I just like being low key and doing my thing. So that's why like you don't have a lot of vlogs and all these like different types of content for me, because I just don't enjoy it, to be honest. Like I just enjoy setting up the camera and speaking like this. So I hope y'all don't mind. If you want to see vlogs and whatnot, let me know, because I definitely can talk about what I do and like, you know, how I live day to day, since I think this is a story worth sharing. For a long time, I didn't think what I did was important or special. I'm not saying it's like important in any way. I'm just making clothing and designing, but I think there's a bigger picture to be shared, which is like running a business as someone who doesn't come from a lot of money, someone who, you know, just worked hard and made decisions that thankfully has worked out and still grinding every day, you know? And I just want to be like that kind of role model for people who are out there trying to make this happen, because it is a lot of fucking work. But once you get stuff to work for you, once you feel like you have a good handle on everything, like it's probably the best feeling in the world is being in control of what you do, being in control of your time, being in control of your finances. There's a lot of things that you don't really get this kind of feeling with. Like having a job is cool, there's nothing wrong with it, but you don't have a sense of actual ownership. You're just working for someone else. And it's a great way to get experience. It's a great way to get money, you know? Like there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having a job. Like I had a job for my whole life pretty much until 3 years ago when I started this company. And then I've been full-time since last June, I think. So yeah, it's been over a year, which is great because now I have something to back myself up on. It's weird to talk about like being an entrepreneur, being like a freelancer and all this, like when you haven't been doing it for a long time, especially if you don't have results to show it. So that was why I didn't want to be sharing the journey, because I just didn't feel like, I don't know, it's like the imposter syndrome thing where I didn't feel that I was in that right position to be like, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing, you know, I'm making it happen, because I wasn't, you know, and I still am day to day fighting, like making sure I get sales, making sure that I do my social media stuff. Like there's a lot that I have to do every single day. And now that I'm in this position, you know, 2-3 years later, having a company that pays for everything that I can live on, like that's just why I'm here. I want to share with you all that this is very possible. It is really fucking hard, but you know, everything in life that is worthwhile is going to take a lot of effort. And this is why like I love doing what I do, because when you think back to what you did every single day, it's so much more impactful in your mind than like, oh, I just passed around some documents for someone, or you know, you just bullshit your way around work. So, all right, this stream is titled Embroidery Live. So let's get to the embroidery machine. I'm gonna show you all the whole process from the moment you hoop it all the way to the moment it's done. It might get a little noisy, so if the embroidery noise is bothering you, just mute the video while it's running. But I do have this little thing on, so hopefully this is covering some of the noise, because I do also have an AC unit right behind this, and I know that this kind of helps a little bit. So let's get to the machine. So this is the cap hooping station. This is where it all starts. I'm gonna go grab this hat because I actually just did it. But here is the finished product. It's the drum bass dad hat with my logo on the side. So yeah, we're gonna be doing this real quick. This one came out really good. So we're gonna unhoop this. These clips are here for stability. It helps with making sure that the surface doesn't move. because that's the biggest issue with registration, is when people don't hoop their shit correctly and then they blame the machine. So don't be like those people. All right, so this is the cap hoop. If you can see here, this thing comes very tight. So if you get a Ricoma or I don't know, any other hat machine and you can't fit the bill of the hat, just make sure you loosen this up. I loosened it a little bit with the screws here. So now it kind of flaps a little bit, but it's not too loose where it comes off. So we're gonna go here. We've got some stabilizer. This is 2.5 ounce, I think, or 3 ounce stabilizer from Madeira. They're cut like this, so it's easy to use for hats, and that way I don't have to cut it. And this is tearaway, meaning that once the embroidery is done, you just rip this off and you're chilling. So I folded it in half because when you embroider on a thin fabric, like a dad hat, because this is 100% cotton, right? It's a canvas hat. It's really, really thin. And what happens with thin materials is that when the needle and the thread are getting stitched together, what happens is it starts pulling on the fabric. So the stabilizer is there to keep the thread to stop pulling on the fabric. And depending on the fabric, sometimes you'll have to use like a sticky adhesive or a sticky spray. So if y'all have seen my nylon shorts, I actually use a sticky spray that's over there in the box. But yeah, so right now we don't need that for a dad hat. So I'm gonna show you how I hoop it and then we will go from there. Yep, so this is where it starts, and I got the mighty hoop down here. So I'm gonna grab this guy, hover it, and then because I do have a hit on the left side, yeah, so it's lopsided because we need to get to this part and we need stabilizer over there too. So I'm gonna pull the bill back, or not the bill, sorry, the sweatband. Gonna nicely bring it over here, make sure that the stabilizer is also still in the right place. And then the tough part is getting the sweatband underneath this little metal thing, but you just gotta kind of tug on it. And like I said, if you loosen it slightly, it makes life a little bit easier. And I have a technique that kind of works. These new sweatbands are actually really, really thick for some reason. So it's been a little bit harder, but all right, so now we're on. And then I'm gonna pull on the edges here, make sure that all the sweatband is turned inside out. And then the most important part is this thing right here. When you latch it down, make sure that the top of the hat right here is on the teeth, because I see some people that do their hats like this and your hats are gonna look like shit. So make sure you run the teeth on the bill right here on the seam, or else your hats are gonna come out looking like garbage. So we got it here, and then I like to kind of tug on it, pull back a little bit, and then we're gonna clamp it. Oh, since I did that demo of an incorrect hoop, I did it incorrectly, but all right, so we're gonna try this one more time. Cool, that sounded good. Everything is straight. So if you did it right, what it should look like is there's like minimal fabric bunching up here. We can always pull this back with the clips, and then up here as well, you can see that it's straight and the band is right here. And that's the most important part, is you have to make sure that the teeth of this band is on this seam. If it's above it, your hats are gonna look like shit. Okay, so we got the hat, right? We're gonna bring it in, turn it 90 degrees, and then you'll get the infamous 3 clicks. Now we're clipped in. And then we're gonna start with the front first. And what I found that helps is that pull this back when it's on the actual driver, not like when you're just hooping it. Because this way you can really like ensure that this seam is centered, is straight, and then you're pulling back enough to remove all that slack so you don't get any weird registration problems. So you just kind of pull on the sides and then clip it back. And now this surface looks very good. And we can do a close-up on the interface real fast, because I know this interface is pretty special. And I think it's a pretty big selling point of the machine itself. Here's the interface, got the design here. It tells you the stitch count, how much is done, and then the cap and all this stuff, thread colors. You can see like the sizing of the artwork. Sorry if the resolution isn't as good. I think this camera is just not performing well because we're on live. But yeah, and you can control the speed, embroidery mode, and all this other stuff. So I'm just gonna skip that part because I have other videos that cover it. What do we wanna do is basically wanna center it to the needle. So right now it's on 2. But when you trace, it's gonna go on 1. So I'm just gonna use this for a reference. And then once we click on trace, it's gonna move the needle to 1, and it's gonna draw a boundary around what it wants to embroider. So it goes to 1, boom, 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 boom. And you wanna do this because you wanna ensure that this needle doesn't hit the fucking hoop, because if it hits the hoop, you're done for. Something's gonna break. So it's always good to test and make sure that you're in the boundaries. So yeah, that's why you wanna hold it down, because this is the path. And then you see that we're clearing, and I like where it's at. So yeah, we're just gonna let it rip. Thread color is gonna be white, and we're gonna run it at 650 stitches per minute, and it should be done in about 7 minutes. I'm gonna move that way. All right, it's gonna be done in 9 minutes, a little bit more than that. And here's the progress. I really like this a lot. This is like my favorite part of this, is watching the progress screen. Especially because that way, when something goes wrong, you can always refer back. So as long as the machine is fine, we shouldn't have any issues having to go look at it. I replaced the bobbin yesterday, so I don't think I'll run out of any thread, but if I do, I'll show you all how easy it is to replace the bobbin. You literally just like swap out the spool at the end of the machine. But yeah, just running the machine right now. We'll go back to it once it's almost done, just cause like, we don't need to watch the machine work. You know, it's not very exciting, but I've had this machine since March now, March or April. So it's been almost 5 months. Yeah, it's been almost 5 months. So it's been excellent, killing it for me. Like the amount of hats I've been selling has been like absolutely crazy. And it's just something that I think a lot of people need to consider is, sorry, it kind of slowed down. So I was like, did something go wrong? But yeah, the thing with like owning your own equipment is that yes, it takes time, yes, it takes money, but once you start selling, or like if you already have a customer base, you're saving so much money and time because you're running all your own stuff. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people think about. Is there's two sides to it. One is yes, like you save money, right? But two is like, it takes time to do it. So if you're not interested in making clothing, like being hands-on with it, then getting equipment, despite the fact that you save money, is not worth it, because now you don't have any time, because now you're making hats all the time like me, you know? So that's just something to consider. Is yeah, there's advantages, but there's also disadvantage, right? Like to me, the biggest advantage is as a designer, as a creative person, as a brand owner, if I make something, I can have it embroidered the next day. Versus before, if I design something, I have to talk to my embroidery person, I have to pay for sample fees, I have to get it digitized, and then I'll get it in like 2 weeks. And then if it doesn't look good, I have to run another sample with them, right? So I'm eliminating that extra step that it takes to get to that final product, because now I can go from concept to product in like 4 days, versus before it would take like 3 weeks. So just put that into perspective. Like that way you can launch a product way before anyone else. And then also, you can also mitigate your own risk, because if you go somewhere, you have to order units, right? You can't just order one piece, and you can't even do it on demand. But if you do it through your own machine, I can just make one sample. And if the sample looks good, I can take pictures, I can do lifestyle images, I can do all the videos, and then I put it online. And if it flops, then, well, fuck, it flopped, but I only wasted like 2 days worth of work and like one sample. Versus if I ordered 100 hats, no one wants the hat, now I'm stuck with 100 hats. And I'll be down however much that costs. Like, I don't know, $800 maybe, $8 a hat. So that's the advantage of having your own machine, is like you get to just launch products without taking a lot of risk. So it's just awesome way to keep your website like flowing with new product. And also I do have a hunch that there is a boost that you get from like ads and stuff when you upload new products, especially when you do ASC Plus, which is Advantage Plus, because I think it like refreshes the ad to some extent. It's just something I've been observing. I'm not sure if it's correct, but I've noticed that whenever I post a new product, I get my own ad on that new product like the same day or the next day. Versus if I don't do anything, I don't really see anything happening. So right now, embroidery machine is about, I think we're about 60% done. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about embroidery machine. It's what I've been up to. How come my uploads have slowed down a little bit. So we are done here. If you want to stick around, stick around. If you don't want to watch this embroidery part, it's no problem. But yeah, so we're done with the front. It looks excellent here. So I'm gonna switch the artwork to my other artwork. So let's just do this real quick. The way we do this is we have to push embroidery mode whenever it's done, which is a little annoying. We're gonna do that. But it basically locks the machine so you can't like touch anything. We're gonna go to select design, machine, favorites. I can do it logo hat, select. Yeah, attack angle, no problem. Thank you for asking, I appreciate it. Now we're gonna move this to the side because we want it to be over here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna move this back to tripod mode. And then again, I'm gonna adjust this slightly, but this surface looks pretty good, it's nice and tight. I found a trick with the side of the hat is I tilt the artwork 3 degrees to the right for dad hats and then -3 degrees for snapbacks. Why is it different? I don't know, but that's what I found out to make it look more centered. So we're gonna adjust this, bring it close to the edge as possible without getting too risky. Get the setup mode, put the trace down, and you can see it didn't hit anything, so we're good. We're gonna trace it one more time because I like to get a little bit risky with this. All right, cool. We're gonna go home, bring a little bit more. Okay, and then make sure that the thread is chilling right here. Gonna push start. And this is gonna take like 2 minutes. So this isn't too bad. Yep. I don't want people to be hindered by something that is not the main focus of the brand, or not the main focus of the piece of garment or hat or whatever. So that's why, like, I don't care if my logo is muted. As long as it's on there, people are gonna know, like, oh, this is from that brand, I can do it, or something that I've seen on Instagram or whatever. And oh yeah, speaking of, so when I was on the flight going to SF, there was a dude wearing one of my shirts, and I thought he was going to the event that I was going to, because last year when I did this event, people picked up my clothing. But this person was a complete random. So that was really dope to see, because that was very unexpected. And I asked him, like, oh yeah, how'd you find this shirt? He's like, oh, I just saw it on Instagram, it was dope, and yeah, I really like this shirt. So that was super dope to see. Like, I don't know, it never gets old to like see your stuff in the wild, especially when you least expect it. And to be honest, like, I don't really see my clothes that often. Like, I've seen it several times, but not as much as like I want to in the future. So yeah. Oh, okay, the machine's done. That was a super easy one. We are gonna get to this station. If y'all have seen my Instagram, you've probably seen this table a million times, but this thing folds in and out, which is fucking dope. The key with working in an apartment is, like, you need things that can basically convert into what you need it to become. Like, space is key, right? So the more modular, the more compact things are, the better they are. All right, so here it is. You got the side hit right here. You got the DMB on the front, and thankfully it looks fucking dope. So yes, here it is. All right, so I'm gonna show you the whole process, because that's what this whole video is about. So we're gonna unclip it. Taking the stabilizer off. This is the 2.5 ounce or 3 ounce, I forgot which one, but basically it's from Madeira. It comes pre-cut, so all you gotta do is fold it, and then we're gonna rip this off. And the thing with this design that I don't like, even though it's part of it, is that there's a lot of ends, right? Because you can see here, there's a shit ton of thread I gotta cut. And that's because on a design like this, each piece basically has to have a tie off, or it has to have a run stitch. And a run stitch is, you can kind of see it here between the letters, but the run stitch basically allows the machine to run without stopping, and that saves a lot of time in production. So it's not like a you're being lazy kind of thing. It's just like a way to prevent the machine from having to basically tie a million knots at the back of the embroidery. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Like this one, because it's so small anyway, like even if there was no gap here, like you probably can't tell. So that's why you kind of let the stitch run, versus like this, if you can see the stitches connecting, it will look kind of ugly and very unprofessional, and you're gonna have to cut it afterwards. So that's why there's a lot of tie-in points there. So if you ever see like embroidery with a bunch of like lines through the through different pieces, that's why. But yeah, so we're gonna get this right here. I have this little curved scissors. I use this a lot. And I do it with a trash can, because that way I don't have to clean later. But it's kind of like shaving, mowing the grass. We're just gonna cut as close as we can. It doesn't have to be super precise, but just good enough, because we're gonna burn the threads with the lighter afterwards. And key thing is, make sure you don't get too close to the fabric, because sometimes you can accidentally cut through the fabric, and once you cut through the fabric, you're kind of screwed. So yeah, I've done that before, obviously, speaking from experience. And then we got a lint roller. Always key to have a lint roller too. And yeah, just gonna lint roll this shit. It's not terrible, but we gotta do a little bit of a better job before we can burn the rest. Cause sometimes like if the thread's too long, it like actually burns the thread and creates like a burn mark. So this seems fine. I'm just gonna run the lighter now so y'all can see it. See, I don't know if you can see the thread's like shrinking, but basically it cleans up the back a lot. And it's really up to you how much you want to clean this. Like, I don't mind if it's, like, to me this is acceptable because all the garbage is gone and nothing is hanging out. Maybe I'll do like a slight clean after the stream, but this is acceptable to me. Also, you don't even see this. A lot of hats that are professionally made, you don't see the backing because they probably just, they either leave a tearaway or cutaway still on, or sorry, they leave a cutaway on here and then they put like another fabric over it, or they try their best to clean it like this. And then another one here, we got the IKendoit logo. So we're just gonna snip the ends here. So as y'all can see, one hat does take quite a bit of time to make. So that's why people have like multi-head embroidery machines, because instead of doing one at a time, I can do like 6 at a time, 3 at a time. But that wraps up the hat. Look at that, drum base. And the logo is straight. Another tip is this thing here. It's called a snag nabbit. But basically, what you can do is, let's say like this D, right? I'm like, this could be a little bit cleaner. You stick this in here. You like basically grab the thread. And then it cleans up the letter. So it's a little bit more up here. Just make sure you don't stab your fingers. I stab my fingers a lot. But see, look, now the D is like super clean. So that's like the extra step that a lot of people don't see, is like I go through each one and I try to like clean it up because I want people to get like a fucking nice product, you know? Like I really care about the execution. There's gonna be limitations, obviously. Like I can't do this as carefully every single time if I'm making like 30 or 40 hats, but I do try to go through them as carefully as I can. And also the run stitches I was talking to you about, you can also stuff them with this. So this D, I can grab the snag nabbit here. That's what it's called, a snag nabbit. Like it's a strange name. Then you pull it through and then see, now you can see a gap. So this is a fucking lifesaver, a great tool to have. And another thing you should probably have is like a black marker, especially if you're doing like black on black or black on white. Because what happens is like sometimes, let's say like if the bobbin was showing through, there'll be like a little bit of white and you just use a little bit of black marker and you can't even tell. So yeah, this hat looks good. And yeah, if you want to pick this up, it's on my site. It's been selling like crazy. Like I've been nonstop making these. So it's been quite awesome. And I really appreciate everyone's support because some of my hats never sell. Like the I'm tired hat, which I thought was gonna be a hit, but it wasn't. And that's what I mean is like sometimes you think you got a hit on your hands, but no one cares. And then you just gotta move on. So yeah. That is the story. That is the story of the ASCOLOUR collab, the pop-up shop, and also the embroidery IRL. This video was 37 minutes, so it makes me think like, damn, how long does it actually take me to do these hats every single time I make them? Anyway, thank you all for stopping by today's stream. I'm gonna probably do more lives because, like I said, this is more casual for me, and I'm a casual dude. I don't like setting up the camera, getting the lights on, doing all this stuff. Like, it just doesn't feel natural to me. And it's kind of like the more resistance I had towards the process, the less I'm likely to continue. And ironically, the last video I put out was called, You Gotta Enjoy the Process. So I am listening to my own advice, I'm enjoying the process. And yeah, if y'all don't have any more questions, I'm gonna peace out. But thank you all for joining me for today, and I hope you all have a good day. Peace.